other day, I fired up my Twitter to find people literally freaking out about Convoke in Pioneer. People are saying it's Hogaak and broken and needs to be banned or even emergency banned. But my first thought was, this could be the basis of a really sweet budget deck. So today we're going to see if $100 Boros Convoke is the best deck in Pioneer. Is it Hogaak? Does it need to be banned? Let's find out. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. And this week, we're heading to Pioneer to see if $100 budget deck is the new most broken deck in the Pioneer format. Is it literally Hogaak in Pioneer? We're playing Boros Convoke. So let's talk about this deck, what it's trying to do, jump into a Pioneer League, and see if it actually is that busted. So we're built around two cards, Nightmare of Eos and Venerated Loxodon, which are super similar. They're 5 mana, they both have Convoke, they're both 4/4s, they both have pretty powerful ETBs. Nightmare of Eos drawing his cards, Venerated Loxodon putting counters on our creatures, and the goal of our deck is to play these cards as fast as possible. Our best draws let us cast these cards on turn 2 with the help of like Thraben Inspector, Voldaren Epicure, also Ornithopter is a free spell, and then Gleeful Demolition can blow up the blood token or the clue token to add 3 bodies, and that'll give us, along with another 1-drop, 5 creatures on turn 2, and then we just tap them all to Convoke, draw some cards with Nightmare of Eos to fill up for the next turn, grow our team massively with Venerated Loxodon so we can win in just a couple attacks, and that's essentially what the deck's trying to do. If we don't have the turn 2 nut draw, we also got a bunch of other cards that just add multiple bodies to the battlefield. Clarion Spirit makes spirit tokens, Resolute Reinforcements, Forbidden Friendship make 2 1/1s for 2 mana, so if we don't literally just get to play a 4/4 and get a bunch of value on turn 2, with these cards we can probably do it on turn 3 worst case. We also have Reckless Bushwhacker is sort of a backup plan. If we don't find Nightmare of Eos or Venerated Loxodon, we can just flood the board with 1/1s, Surge a Bushwhacker, smash it for a bunch of damage, similar to what we've seen with 8-Whack in Modern. The mana base, this is the one place you can kind of see the impact of the budget aspect of the deck. The optimal mana base would have Sacred Foundries, it would probably have some mana confluences, but really, for being a budget deck, the mana is perfectly fine. Like, we still have 12 dual lands, maybe 8 dual lands, depending on what you think of Pathway. We get a little extra value out of Castle Umbreth, Cabria Takedown is removal in some basic lands, so mana normally isn't a problem, although it can be improved, but improving it adds like another $200 or $300 to the budget just for Sacred Foundry and Mana Confluence. In the sideboard, we get some removal. For control, we have Showdown of the Skulls, Invasion of Gabakhan, Regal Eosaur, another Bushwhacker style effect, some Graveyard Hate, a Pithing Needle, and that is $100 Boros Convoke for Pioneer, and that's our budget magic for this week. So let's jump into a league and see, is the hype justified? Is a $100 budget deck breaking the format? Is this literally Hogaak in Pioneer? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Want to give the deck a try? Well, you can snag all the cards you need from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/MTG Goldfish. Budget magic time. We are trying to figure out if there's a $100 Hogaak deck in Pioneer these days, and we're gonna keep this. 1 land's a bit sketch. We would rather have 2 lands. Worst case, we're probably sacking a blood to try to find a land, but we do have the Nightmare of Eos. If we just hit a land, this hand is really nice. If we don't hit a land, it's not going to be quite as fast as we were hoping. Shivan Reef for our opponent, and passes, and land off the top. All right, that is a land off the top. Down to 18. Play an Epicure. Play a Thraben Inspector. Clue ya. So we're hoping to dodge a counter. Like, if our opponent doesn't have a counter, bounce Thraben Inspector, sure. That does complicate things a bit. We were hoping we could Thraben Inspect or Forbidden Friendship into Nightmare of Eos. As it is, that plan's not gonna work without the Thraben Inspector. If we draw a land, we can do it. Now I guess we need another land. Sure? I don't know what's happening, but sure. Valakut Awakening. So it's got to be Indomitable Creativity. Well, in that case, I think we just Forbidden Friendship, hit you for 2. Can we race Creativity is the question. So this has got to be the control, is it control version with Torrential Gear Hulk and Magma Opus and such. Magma Opus wrecks us. Magma Opus is a wrath with a ton of upside. So we do need to try to dodge that. If we get Magma Opus, we're pretty dead. And counters are a thing. And Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Well, I mean, we get to get down the Knight Errant. Is it enough, though? Gleeful Demolition. Gleeful Demolition, the blood token. Make some dorks. Knight Errant of Eos. 5. Go digging. Take an Ornithopter. I don't want them to know about the Bushwhacker. Let's take Epic here. We already have a Bushwhacker in hand, so we just basically don't want our opponent to know that we can kill them next turn, is the idea. Assuming they don't kill us this turn, which is a possibility. I mean, this sets us up to Ornithopter, Bushwhacker, assuming we can resolve everything. And assuming we don't get Magma Opus, Torrential Gearhulk here, Windfall Negate, okay, sure. Or our board could get swept. That's another thing that could happen. I don't think we have an actual plan for like stopping Indomitable Creativity. We're mostly just trying to race it. I think that's our plan. Player removal, the best removal. Opponent, Shivan Reef. Big score, okay. Well, I mean, the question's gonna be, does our opponent have a counter? If Bushwhacker resolves, I think we clearly win. Staying on defense, well, okay. Do they have a counter? We draw Bushwhacker. Well, Ornithopter. Bushwhacker. Do you have a counter? I wish we drew another land. Oh, they don't. Okay. Well, got him. I mean, I guess we can bring in, I guess it's Tormod's Crypt Gabakon. I guess that's our tech. Do we even care about Giant Killer? I don't feel like killing Torrential Gearhulk is actually that relevant. Let's go down the Giant Killer and maybe one Clarion Spirit and try it. One Clarion Spirit and maybe one Forbidden Friendship. Actually, let's go one Thraben Inspector. Run it like that. I mean, Gabakon could be really good. Gabakon hitting creativity could be very powerful. And flipping it is also an answer to our opponent's potential sweepers, which they might not have in the main deck, but I'm pretty sure they have in the sideboard. So, I mean, maybe we got a little lucky that our opponent didn't have any interaction, which could have been a thing. Jingatha revealed. So we're on the draw for game number 2. Ooh, I think we're going to keep this, as weird as it sounds. So we got 4 lands. We don't have any payoffs. We have a Gabakon, which might be our payoff here. So we play the Inspiring Vantage Go. I think the idea is Gabakon on turn 2. Turn 3, Ornithopter, Bushwhacker, flip Gabakon is what we're going for, at least. I assume our opponent's not playing the gates at this point. Oh, more lands. More lands not good. We are kind of flooding. Well, hopefully Gabakon resolves. All right, this hand is suddenly really bad. Without the Gabakon, this hand is horrible. Passes. Action. All right, well, we got a game plan. Plains. Ornithopter. Bushwhacker. Boom. 3 to the face. Opponent, Volcanic Spite. Kills the Ornithopter. I guess they're worried about us blowing it up. All right, we really need to stop drawing lands. 5 is a massive number for our deck. Opponent really needs to start drawing lands. Did they find a land? No. Well, okay, new plan. New plan. This is a companion game. Boom. Big J. Oh, well, they say Mana Screw beats Mana Flood. We'll see. Opponent, land number 3, Steam Vents Untapped, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yep, we saw that coming. Venerated Loxodon. Well, all right, land number 5 in Jingatha. Yeah, maybe leaning on that Gabakon was a bad idea. We really had all of our eggs in the Gabakon basket, and that basket fell apart pretty quickly. Our opponent should be good now. Like, they hit land number 3 to get to Fable, and now Fable gets to double loot. They get the treasure, so our opponent's where they need to be to do their stuff. So the hope they never draw lands plan is probably off the table. The hope we win with Jingatha plan, that one's alive and well. Unlikely, but alive and well. Wow, Portal of Phyrexia, Fading Hope. Portal of Phyrexia? That seems horrible against our deck. Okay, Mirrex. Are they trying to cheat Portal into play? Creativity, Portal. This is such an awkward position. And they get to start getting stuff back from the graveyard. Forbidden Friendship, Ornithopter, Pathway, Venerated Loxodon. Reckless Bushwhacker. I mean, the hand has been dumped. We'll see if it's enough. Hit you for 7. All right, opponent gets to get back to Jingatha, and they get to flip their Fable. Our hand might have been just bad enough. So many lands. Flips the Fable. Plays a land. So if we attack with everything, opponent blocks here, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next turn, they get back even more blockers. I guess get in with the Ornithopter. Hit you for 1. Oh, all right. Well, we'll stick it out one more turn. Yeah, I think they got it, though. They get back another blocker. The only way I could see of us... Actually, no, there's no way we can win now. I was going to say the one way I could see of us winning would be Gleeful Demolition and another Bushwhacker next turn, but we don't have an artifact at this point, so that's not even possible. The portal looks like it's going to be good, and I'm actually very skeptical that portal's good against our deck or good enough against our deck. Normally we go super wide, so you're getting what, 3/1/1s or something. But in this case, we couldn't get on the board early, and it looks like it's gonna be enough for our opponent. Sure, down to 17, and they just get the free blocker every turn is actually going to be pretty relevant. Venerated Loxodon. Well, we've flooded out so much, make disappear is not very good. Score. Wow, even despite this, we were pretty close. Opponent had turn 4 creativity, and we were, with this horrible draw, we were super close. Maybe it was turn 5. They might have, I think they missed a land drop for 1 turn, right? Opponent copies the shark. Makes another shark. Yeah, they just have too many blockers. Opponent gets back a bushwhacker. Sure. Well, maybe portal is good enough. At least this game it was. And steam vents tapped. Resolute reinforcement, so we'll pass the turn. We can't even really attack, because if we attack, stuff just trades off and then it gets reanimated, so we don't really gain much in that scenario. So many Shark Typhoons. There's no way we can get in the damage through this wall of blockers. There's just too many blockers. I mean, we're on the play for game number 3, and on the play, the Gabakon would have resolved. And I think that would have really changed that hand we had really relied on Gabakon. So getting that countered, as soon as that happened and our hand was Ornithopter Bushwhacker and like 4 lands, we were fighting a very big uphill battle at that point. Let's get a good hand where we impact the board quickly. All right, reveal Jangata. I don't know if this is an absurd hand, but it's definitely better than the last one. Now, Battlefield Forge, go. So we can Resolute Reinforcements, and then we're gonna have to decide if we Bushwhacker Ornithopter or just get down a Knight. Passes. Ooh, Gleeful Demolition. Well, I think we actually just do it this way. I think we just Gleeful Demolition now while our opponent's tapped out, get the 1/1s past the turn. Then in theory, next turn, we can Resolute Reinforcements, Knight Aaron of Eos, although it is susceptible to counters. Fading Hopes, okay. And wow, Spikefield, okay. Spikefield Hazard. Well, let's Resolute Reinforcements and get in for 1. Hit ya. We need a way to make an artifact. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, okay, as expected. Thrabes, all right, so play Thraben Inspector. Make a clue. Gleeful Demolition the clue. Make some dorks. Knight Aaron of Eos. Convoke. Wow, and whiff. Oh boy, I've never had that happen before. Okay, that's bad. Only a Thraben Inspector. Yeah, that is real bad. All right, pass the turn. That is unfortunate. Opponent untaps. I mean, we got a big board. In a board this big with a bunch of tokens is very resilient to Portal, which is what we were talking about last game. Like, the ability to just make a bunch of tokens really minimizes the impact of Portal. Like, they Portal here, we sack 3 goblins, and there's only an Ornithopter in the graveyard. We can survive a Portal pretty well. Would have liked to hit more with that Knight Aaron of Eos, though. Probably the bigger risk here is our opponent having, like, an Anger of the God style effect into the Portal. That would be a problem. Opponent, counter, Shark Typhoon discarded. Do we block if they attack? I'm not even sure if we do. If we do, then our entire board is set up to get wiped out by an Anger of the Gods effect. Ooh, just another Fable? Okay, that's good news. Oh boy. All right, we're like a land away from really going off with this Bushwhacker. Clarion Spirit. So, Knight Aaron of Eos. Take a Knight Aaron of Eos. Ornithopter. Play the Ornithopter. Bushwhack. Hit you with everything. All right, that's what we got. That's what we got on turn 5. So opponent's gonna have 1 turn to draw their way out of this. They have the Fable, they got the Goblins potentially. So we'll see what they can do. We don't die to Portal. If creativity for Portal's their plan, that's fine. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, it's 17. And this is really the power of the deck. Like, we have 2 lands, and look at our board. That's the power of this Convoke plan. Oh, we just flood the board really quickly. We put you to the test. Do you have the answer? If so, then fair enough. Like, if so, then you got us. If you don't have the answer, look out, because we are coming for you. At this point, I think we're rooting for our opponent to be on the Portal plan. The Portal plan's fine. I think if we had drawn 1 more land, we would have just won this turn, right? If we drew 1 more land, okay, opponent's gonna block, so they're definitely hoping for a sweeper. gets to do some looting. The question is, what sweeper would they have that gets rid of the Nightmare and Evaoses? I could see an Anger of the Gods effect taking out the other stuff, but how do they take out the 4/4s? All right, there's Reflections. Opponent discarded a big score, but held on to a card. Oh no, and a Shark Typhoon. Okay, sure. So opponent needs an Anger of the Gods to have any chance. Or Brothers to End, whatever, an Anger of the Gods effect. Actually, let's see. They deal with a Knight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They might actually survive the turn. I think they can block their way for one more turn. Block here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if they have removal, a removal spell plus a chump block, they can live. Okay, Fading Hope of Goblin. And opponent scoops it up. And yeah, that was pretty impressive. I mean, all that with 2 lands. 2 lands! Oh, sweet, sweet. We are finding out if Hogaak is actually a thing in Pioneer for $100. Is there really a $100 Pioneer deck that's Hogaak, the equivalent of Hogaak? Do we keep this? There's no Convoke card. That's the biggest thing we're missing. Planes for our opponent and Chaplain of Alms. Okay, so humans probably? Well, land on red. Voldaren Epicure, make a blood. We might need the blood for sacrificing. Pass the turn. Castle Ardenvale and oh god, Thalia, okay. First strike tribal over there, opponent gets and hits us. And land off the top, please. We do draw the land, so okay, Inspiring Vantage and Clarion Spirit and Ornithopter. And pass the turn. Adeline would be annoying, because we can't Giant Killer it, even if they draw land. Okay, opponent gets the Adeline, big attack, makes a token. So if we block here, okay, down to 17, opponent passes. Ornithopter. What if we Ornithopter Bushwhack? Or do we need to get more? We probably need more bodies. How do we... So we can chip in for 1. Chip in for 1, Gleeful Demolition. Yeah, this Thalia is actually kind of annoying us. Get in with the Spirit for 1. We're not Bushwhacking this turn. Voldaren Epicure. Ping, yeah. Giant Killer. Never going to be able to cast it anyway. Make a Spirit. I mean, I think our hope is just go wide enough that we can get 1 huge Bushwhacker attack for lethal. Ossification. I assume going after the Clarion Spirit? Yeah, okay. Let's see how aggressively our opponent attacks. Attacks. Is there any way we can get rid of the Thalia? We'd have to put 3 bodies in front of it. So if we block here, we're going to be left with, what, 2 creatures? 1, 2, 3, I guess 4 creatures. That does open up Gleeful Demolition as being a draw. The other option, I guess, is take our beats. Opponent's gonna have 2 blockers. Ornithopter, Bushwhacker, blocks. We get in for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. We draw a Mountain. I mean, we can also pass and tap down the Adeline, but that requires doing nothing this turn. I guess we get in for 2 in the air. If we go all in, this gets blocked, this gets blocked. Our opponent takes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not enough. If we pass and tap down Adeline, we set up for a better turn next turn, but we do nothing this turn. I guess we get in for 2. Yeah, let's in the air, hit you to 15. This also opens up the possibility of us just drawing an untap land next turn and also being able to Gleeful Demolition, which would be even better. All right, we're gonna pass. Opponent, Dauntless Bodyguard, sure. I mean, we're not killing their stuff anyway. I mean, I guess the downside of this is our opponent is adding a lot more bodies to the battlefield. Adeline gets in, makes a 1/1. We will block down to 9. Oh, it's a tap land. Tap land is the worst land. Our opponent's just slowly adding more and more bodies to the battlefield. Well, go to combat, get in with the spirits. Hit ya. Inspiring Vantage, pass. I think we do it one more time and then go for it next turn. Unclear if this will be enough. Opponent. Also gonna be super close. Thalia's Lieutenant to grow the dorks. I mean, I guess the good news is this does encourage our opponent to swing out. The bad news is we have to not die, so we might have to actually trade in some bodies. Giant Killer, tap down Adeline. Swings with everything. Makes a 1/1. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we need to block 2 things. So if we block here, actually, maybe the flyer's better. Block here. 3, 6, 7, 8. Would we rather have the Ornithopter? Okay, on our turn, now we gotta think. So Giant Killer taps this down. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. Not enough. If we Gleeful Demolition for 2, Ornithopter, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be enough. I don't want to think it all the way through. Okay, so we drop to 1. I think we have lethal here. We'll see. Opponent passes. Gleeful Demolition, a blood token. Make 3 1/1s. Play an Ornithopter. Kick a Bushwhacker, or Surge a Bushwhacker. And swing with the team. Is it lethal? Well, we found a way. That was not the explosive Hogaak win, but we did find a way to piece it together with no Convoke cards through an Adeline. All right. That was pretty impressive. Do we want more removal? Do we care about removal? Or are we better off? I think the Regal Leosaur is good because our opponent's not going to have sweepers. Do we want Lithomancer's Barrage? And if so, what do we actually cut? Maybe we want to like a Forbidden Friendship, a Epicure, a Venerated Loxodon maybe. Yeah, let's try it like that. And bring in 2 barrages. Well, opponents on the play. The aggro versus aggro battle. That was a super close game. I would like to think that we're favored in this matchup, but I don't actually know. Double Loxodon, eh? Yeah, we'll keep. I mean, the dream is Gleeful Demolition. If we draw Gleeful Demolition, we have turn 2 Loxodon, which is absurd. Battlefield Fjorge. Well, let's play Thraben Inspector since it can actually block the Chaplain. Yeah, the more bodies we can get on the battlefield before we Loxodon, the better. Planes for our opponent. And Capico Vanguard. Opponent gets in. All right, Gleeful Demolition. Boom. Off the top. Epicure. Well, Epicure's okay. Play an Epicure Pina. Play even more Epicures and Pina. Hope our opponent does not have an Adeline. Yeah, Adeline's pretty good here. Thalia's Lieutenant's also pretty good here. Grows the Dorks. And a Kytheon. Oh boy. Okay. So we'd have to put our entire team in front of the Vanguard. I don't think we can do that. Opponent hits us. Yeah, we might be in trouble. Although our opponent is down to 1 card. They're down to 1 card. Can we survive long enough for any of this to matter? Oh, Plains is a bad draw here. That's a bad draw. Play the land, Loxodon. Actually, we can blood token first, right? Let's blood token first. Discard a land. Yeah, tapping our team's going to be an issue at this moment. Well, Night Interviews. Yeah, do a little digging, mostly whiff, take a Leosaur and pass the turn. Yeah, I think we might be dead this one. Yeah, Copper Gold Vanguard seems like a big upgrade for humans in Pioneer. Seems like a very good card. Wedding Announcement. Well, that doesn't immediately kill us. You gotta just swing, right? There's no way. Wow, they passed. Okay, that actually gives us a shot. Win a barrage. What do we kill? The Vanguard? Kill the Vanguard. Get in with the Night Nevaeos. I mean, we got to keep attacking. Loxodon. Tap the team. Battlefield Forge. Pass the turn. Maybe we have a shot here. Dauntless Bodyguard. Grows the Thalia's Lieutenant. Portable Hole. That's fine. Gets the Thrabes. We might actually be in good shape. Gets in with Thalia's Lieutenant. I think we take it and just go aggro. Down to 8. Opponent gets the Wedding Announcement token. We are on the Wedding Announcement clock. We untap. We draw land. We do have to make sure we don't die in the backswing. That is a real concern. So we could Leosaur. Oh, we really want more bodies. Attack. Can't really attack with the 2/2s. Leave back the Epicures. I guess we could mutate on an Epicure. Maybe that's better? How much damage do they have? 1, 2, 8. Do we force them to block? We do. All right. I mean, I think that's our best bet. 1, 2, 3. Regal Leosaur. Mutate on an Epicure. Over. Can't all out attack though, right? So our opponent's got to block something. They chump here. We have the Epicure that's going to have to chump here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, maybe we attack with the Epicure. Yeah, let's do it this way. Drops to 10. Play the Pathway past the turn. Oh, another Wedding Announcement. These Wedding Announcements are a problem. Opponent combat. These tokens. Yeah, gets in with Thalia's Lieutenant. Oh, I think they might have got it. The double Wedding Announcement's been huge for our opponent. Thraben Inspector. Yeah, we can take it, but they just have so many chump blockers. We can't get through these chump blockers, and the Wedding Announcement's gonna flip. Oh no. Yeah, I think they got this one. We just don't have enough evasion, and we haven't been able to go wide enough. Ornithopter. There's no way. All right. Wedding announcement. Pretty good for our opponent there. Maybe we keep the giant killer. The good news is we get to be on the play for game number 3, which is kind of spectacular. Yeah, let's get a little more epic here. Run it like that. So we're on the play for game 3. Hopefully that's relevant. Revealed Agatha. Turn 1, nothing. Turn 2, Clarion Spit Ornithopter. Turn 3, Ornithopter Bushwhacker. Actually on the fence about whether this hand is good enough. No 1-drop is annoying. Well, pathway go. Abode and plains. And I do like that we can make flyers. That is relevant. Another Bushwhacker. Well, okay, Battlefield Forge, Clarion Spirit. Ornithopter. That is one of our advantages, I think, against this deck is our deck gets to make flyers. Our opponent's team is pretty ground bound. Opponent probably needs a portable hole. Thalia's Lieutenant to grow the dorks. Yep, goes to combat. Hits us a bit. Sure, we will take it down to 18. We draw. Plains, not great. Well, Ornithopter. Pathway on red. And Surge a Bushwhacker. Make a token, swing with everything. We really need anything that lets us Surge Bushwhacker next turn. That's basically it. Opponent takes the beats down to 9. Any 1-drop, 0-drop, 2-drop, any non-land that we can actually cast to Surge Bushwhacker, Adeline, and we should have it. Opponent goes to dorks. Are we attacking? Gets in with the Lieutenant, sure. Non-land, please. Lithomancer's Barrage does work. So Barrage the Adeline, and then Surge a Bushwhacker, and I think that should do it. Yeah, this one actually went pretty easily. The double Bushwhack hand is kind of ridiculous. Swing and die. Opponent blocks, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. And that is a pretty convincing win there. Bushwhacker, good magic card. Sweet, sweet. Seeing if a $100 Boros Convoke deck is breaking the Pioneer format, and well, this will keep. We got some Loxodons. Ooh, opponent. Yarion, so control presumably? Sounds interesting. So turn 1 Thrabes, turn 2 Clarion Spit Ornithopter Spirit, and then Loxodon the next turn. The question's gonna be, does our opponent have sweepers? What kind of Yarion pile is this? There are a bunch of versions. Well, we will land on white and Thraben Inspector go. Passing. So it's probably Enigmatic Incarnation. Ooh, wait. Does that change things? So we'll play this and then play Clarion Spirit and then play an Ornithopter. We make a Spirit. That's 4 creatures. And then play an Ornithopter. That's 5 creatures. And then Venerated Loxodon. Oh my god. Okay, maybe this is Hogaak. How do you beat that? How does anyone beat that? All right, opponent, your go. Turn 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 power. Opponent plays a tap land. Passes. Gleeful Demolition, the clue. Venerated Loxodon number 2. Make another Spirit. And this is one of the most ridiculous starts I've ever seen in Pioneer. This is ridiculous. We'll go to combat. We will swing. Our opponent can have Leyline Binding. Binding's a Loxodon. They take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opponent drops to 12. Plays Hinterland Harbor. There's no 3-mana Wraths. Wow! Okay, there is a 3-mana Wrath-ish. Well, we will Voldaren Epicure ping you. Wow, that is our opponent's chance to come back. That is their chance. Are we gonna have the most ridiculous start I've ever seen in Pioneer and lose? That's starting to seem possible. Amazing Radiant Flames. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I'll go to combat attack. Opponent does have to chump the Loxodon. They drop to 2. We'll play a Thraben Inspector. Well, this is it. They get to loot with Fable if they can find Enigmatic Incarnation, sack the Leyline Binding to get a Titan of Industry. Does that do it? They could also just have a hard Wrath. Wrath number 2. Wrath number 2 would be tough. I don't know what we do about Wrath number 2. This might finally be a matchup for Invasion of Gabakhan. Been wanting to try the Invasion of Gabakhan, and we just haven't had a matchup for it, but this seems like one of them. Carry-added Chrome Host Seat. I don't know what our opponent's up to. Okay, are you dead? Please say yes. Nod twice if you're dead. Man, I can't. Ooh, that's a painful land. They really need some life gain or an actual Wrath. What is this card? Wow! Okay. Bring to light for Sunfall. Okay, Epicure off the top, one time. Venerated Loxodon, not looking great. Well, we'll crack the clue. Play the Mountain Pet. We're gonna lose this. Oh, I can't believe we're gonna lose this. That start was so incredible too. Our opponent had to literally draw 2 Wraths. They had to have Wrath on turn 3 and then Wrath on turn 5. And missing on either one of those would end with them losing the game. Our opponent had to do some very, very specific things. Well, we'll play a Clarion Spirit and pass the turn. But as it is, I'm not sure that we can close this out. Untaps. Because now our opponent's made it to the late game. And they, have a Dreadbore. Yeah. They made it to the late game and their deck is really good in the late game. Turns on their token, goes to combat. We really just need to draw the Voldaren Epicure. Opponent gets in, hits us. We need it to be the Voldaren Epicure. Is it possible that we top deck an Epicure? Forbidden Friendship. But I guess we cast it. Forbidden Friendship, go. Our opponent can't tap the Mana Confluence or they die. I guess they might as well copy the Caryatid just because they can. Oh, okay. They copied the Incubator token. It has 0 counters on it though, so it dies. So that doesn't, they probably just wanted to see if it worked, which it definitely does not. There might be a chance that we could go 1-drop. 1-drop Bushwhacker or Ornithopter. Opponent hits us to 12. Oh no, they found something. Leyline Binding. Ton of removal. I will give them that. Uh-oh, more? Oh, yeah. Okay, this is it. This is the chance. We need a 1-drop. We need a 1-drop to win this game. 1-drop or Ornithopter. Battlefield Forge. That is neither. And now Yarion comes down. Yeah, now I think there is a 0% chance of us winning this game. All right, well, take Chang'Gotha, play the land. Wow. I mean, the chance is drawing the Voldaren Epicure. That is so it's not a 0%. It's a 3 out of 43% because that would actually let us win this game. This Yarion is going to shut down our other possibility, though, which is attacking for lethal. And if our opponent ever gains life, then it's just over. Opponent combat attacks. 3 out of 43, so we're on what, a 7% chance? Something like that. Hits us to 8. This is it. Opponent does their thing, plays their Yarion. We knock the top of the deck and gotta be exactly Voldaren Epicure. Can blink all their stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure this is the best draw our deck has had, like, period, and we're gonna lose. The best draw our deck has had, but our opponent had just the answers for days. The turn 3 Radiant Flame, turn 5 Sunfall, on top of just like a pile of targeted removal, Gleeful Demolition, and we scoop it up. That was interesting. That was interesting for sure. Well, Gabacon's coming in. Showdown of the Scalds coming in. What do we go down is the question. Wow, I mean, I guess part of the problem with our draw, I think was, and there's no complaining, that was an absurd draw, but we did have double Venerated Loxodon, no Night Errant of Eos. So when our opponent finally was able to, clean up the board, we just didn't really have the ability to get back into the game, unfortunately. Let's try something like that. Wow, that was such a ridiculous start, too. All right, let's see a Gabacon. Let's see if Gabacon is actually the truth. All right, we're on the play. There's like literally 0 payoffs. All right, well, this will keep. We'll put, I think, a Bushwhacker awkwardly to the bottom for now. Inspiring Vantage, go. So this is what, turn 3, Night Errant of Eos, opponent plays a tap land. Well, there's Showdown of the Scald, should we get to it. Forbidden Friendship, get in for a 1. Opponent untaps. Sun Petal Grove, Sylvan Caryatid. Well, Inspiring Vantage, Resolute Reinforcements, Ornithopter, Night Errant of Eos. Go digging. Night Errant of Eos and Ornithopter. Do you have a Wrath? We know our opponent's deck's overloaded on removal. We saw as much in game 1. Wow. Thought seizes, okay. Opponent takes Night Errant of Eos, plays a land, and a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Well, we draw a land, so we do get to Showdown of the Scalds. Pretty medium, really. No Convoke cards. 2 lands, no Convoke cards, no Gabacon. All right, opponent goes to 13, but they're untapping with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker and all the mana they could ever want. That's a lot of lands for our deck. Okay. Unmoored go into self. How in the world did they draw those sweepers in game one? Okay, now I'm feeling a little worse because I think the odds of having main deck Radiant Flames into Sunfall in a deck like this seems pretty low. So maybe we definitely high rolled with our start, but I guess our opponent just high rolled back. Opponent gonna go to combat, attack with the goblin. They need their manas. Yup. Hits us to 18, and then what? Bring to light or something. Opponent plays a mountain. There's the bring to light for a Sunfall. Hooray. Okay, well, we will play Resolute Reinforcements, play Forbidden Friendship, play a land, play an Ornithopter, play a Venerated Loxodon. This was a good turn. We added a bunch of power back to the battlefield, but does it even matter? Opponent untaps, flips the Fable. I mean, that is going to do it. I mean, if the 80 card deck is just going to always draw multiple sweepers, there's not a whole lot we can say about that. There's only so many sweepers in our opponent's deck, and they managed to have them all on a very timely manner. So fair enough, Yarion. Fair enough. Budget magic time. We are seeing if a $100 Boros Convoke is it really the best deck in the Pioneer format. Oh, looks like Yarion. We have not seen Yarion revealed, but 80 cards. Either our opponent is just flexing their ability to add cards to the deck, or they're a Yarion deck. It would be better with a red source instead of 2 tornadoes, but that land is so sweet. The tornado's coming. I love the unique basics. You don't get too many tornado basics. Mount land and Thraben Inspector. Go. So we kind of just want to draw a red source. That would be fine. Triumph for our opponent. And Gleeful. Oh boy. Yeah, this hand would have been sort of the Nutter Butters had we had a red source. We could have Gleeful Demolition there and run out Night Air and Aveos. Plains for our opponent and passing. Oh boy. Oh dear. Well, I guess we're seeing the drawback of being a budget deck is we do have slightly fewer dual lands. Well, there's the red source. So we found it, not as quickly and easily as we were hoping, but we did find it. Well, Darren Epicure. Well, that was a painful way to do it, but we did do it. Uh-oh. Leyline Binding. It's the Clarion Spirit, sure. Opponent untaps Glacial Fortress, and going to pass the turn, we draw. Well, there's all the red mana. It was all there, just a little too deep in the deck. Well, I think we start with a Gleeful Demolition. And then Night Air and Aveos, tapping everything. Hope it resolves. We can play for a Make Disappear, which is good. Wow, they saw it coming. All right. Yeah, that turn we had to take off to dig for red mana is going to come back to punish us. This would have been the absolute nut draw with the Gleeful Demolition on turn 2. Instead, we're going to have to try to piece it together the old-fashioned way. The challenge is we know this deck is a sweeper deck, even in the main deck. This isn't one of those like, oh, after sideboarding, they probably have a sweeper. This is the playing them in the main deck, 5-color domain control deck. We know that's a thing. Right now, our clock is not that fast. Yeah, that was a main budget. Main budget change is the most optimal build. You'll have slightly less basic lands and Sacred Foundries and Mana Confluences. The problem is those cards are super expensive. Sacred Foundries like $80 a playset or something, and then Mana Confluence I think is equally expensive. It's even more, $50 a copy. So yeah, that by itself is like $200 extra added to the deck. We draw even more lands. Attack for 5. Shark Typhoon. Yep. All right, so attack for 4 and lose a dork. Unfortunately, the shark is small enough that we can't actually get it with Giant Killer. It is not a giant. 1, 2, 3. We'll take a Jengatha. Play Voldaren Epicure. Play the mountain. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Gets Yarion. Passes. Should we be using the blood? Probably not. Actually, we play the blood, though. We don't get to Jengatha. All right, let's go to combat attack with everything. Hit you for 4, lose a dork. Go, 1/1s. You can see one of the downsides of the deck is when we don't manage to stick a payoff, it is just a pile of 1/1s. Like when there's not a Bushwhacker, when the Knight Errant gets answered, There's the make disappear. I am not confident we can get through these last points of damage. Opponent, Hallowed Fountain tapped. So what we need is a Bushwhacker. There's the Arion. That's what we need. We need the Bushwhacker. If we draw a Bushwhacker, we got a shot because we can Giant Killer to get rid of the Arion and then just attack for lethal. And we can sack the blood to dig for it. Oh, come on. Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker for the steal. Bushwhacker for the steal. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Pathway. Well, we will blood token, discard pathway, Bushwhacker, Loxodon. Well, 1, 2, 3. Chop down the Arion. Play the Giant Killer. Run out the Loxodon. All right, well, this is it. We'll see what answers they have. Yeah, pass the turn. No sweepers, no removal, no combos. Number 2, gonna get the Loxodon. I mean, this is still technically lethal. Hallowed Fountain tapped. Tap the shark, go to combat, swing with everything. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my, okay. Okay, it worked. I was not expecting that to work even a little bit. Well, sometimes your opponent just doesn't have anything. All right, we will accept that. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Well, Gabacon's Showdown of the Scalds in. What are we cutting? What are we cutting is the question. So, like, an Ornithopter, an Epicure, a Friendship, a Loxodon. What is the last cut? Is it another Ornithopter? Ornithopter has some synergies. Like, it's important for Surging Bushwhacker. It's a target for Demolition, but yeah, I think we're gonna cut it. Outside of the synergies, it's also our least powerful card. I really want to see if Gabacon's good in this deck. This is a kind of matchup where it should be good. If there's a matchup where it's good, it's this one. If we ever flip it, it can really snowball. Like, that's like bushwhacking every turn. I cannot believe, I thought for sure our opponent had a removal. The odds of our opponent just having literally nothing there is so seems unlikely, but we will accept it. We are not going to complain. We need one more land, but this is a fast hand. We will keep. No Gabacon, but I mean, in theory, if we draw one more land, this is the turn 2 Knight Errant hand if it doesn't get countered. Well, Battlefield Forge and Folder and Epicure. Yeah, I mean, if we draw land, we can Gleeful Demolition, blow up the blood, play the Thraben Inspector, convoke out Knight Errant of Eos. Denick, sure. Oh, land. Come on, land. Come on, land. Come on, land. Untap land. Untap land. That works, Battlefield Forge. So, Gleeful Demolition, blow up the blood token, make some 1/1s. Oh, this is so good. This is the start you want. This is what you dream of. This is what you dream of. This is the Hogaak. This is the Hogaak start. Thraben Inspector, run it out, get a clue. Knight Errant of Eos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming down on turn 2. Oh, there goes a Gabacon. Ornithopter, and it might just be Epicure, honestly. Actually, you know what? Let's go Clarion Spirit. Ornithopter, Clarion Spirit. Pass the turn. Would have been nice to hit another Convoke card, but you can't have it all. You can't turn 2 Knight Errant of Eos and then complain that it wasn't good enough. Like, this is turn 2. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 power, 6 bodies. Like, turn 2. Turn 2 in Pioneer. About it. Pass it. We draw a land. So a counter is a thing. This also is annoying, but I think we just swing into it. Do we try to bushwhack? Do we wait? Do we add more bodies? Do we wait? Like, sweepers are still a thing. So we gotta think, if our opponent does find a sweeper, how can we best rebuild? Or we just go for it, and if they have it, they have it. All right, you know what? I think we go for it, and if they have it, they have it. Gleeful Demolition. Clue token. Pathway, Surge a Bushwhacker. Well, we will do a tiny bit of attacking here on turn 3. Just a little off the top. A little baby shark, do. Yeah, okay. I mean, so this isn't quite as bad as it looks because our opponent gets to gain life with Denick, but it's still a lot. All right, opponent blocks and blocks. Drops to 5 on turn 3. Temporary lockdown, and that's not gonna do it. Wow, we crushed them. Okay, this is the Hogaak game. This one actually feels like Hogaak. I mean, the Forbidden Friendship token seals a deal here. Yeah, this also seals a deal. Ornithopter and another Bushwhacker. Make you pretty dead. Feels kind of busted. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the good games are unbelievably good. Like, the good games, it does feel like you're playing a broken deck. That was just a straight up, like, turn 4 full kill. In turn 3, almost kill. If our opponent didn't have the shark in the life gain, like, we did have turn 3 lethal. Playing some $100 Boros Convoke, finding out if this deck really is the truth. Well, this hand is not the truth. Far from it. Actually, the hand is amazing, except we have no lands. If we had lands this hand, I mean, double Convoke, Lethal Demolition, Ornithopter, and Blood Token to sack. Yeah, if we could like replace 2 cards with lands, but thankfully that's not a real rule in Magic. Well, this will keep, put a Forbidden Friendship to the bottom. So Epicure, Lethal Demolition, Forbidden Friendship, Loxodon, GG. Thraben Inspector for our opponent. Makes a clue. Oh dear. Is this a mirror? Are we playing the same deck? One thing I'm pretty sure about this mirror is whoever goes first probably wins. The fact that Convoke makes you tap down your team makes it a really big benefit for going first. Burning Tree Emissary. And now Convokes out something? Oh my god, Burning Tree Emissary. Oh jeez. Okay, and now? Well, no Convoke card. That's a thing. Opponent hits us for a bunch. I guess a 1-drop would be fine here. Knight Errant of Eos. Well, Battlefield Fjorge. Lethal Demolition, blow up the Blood Token. Venerated Loxodon, I think? Yeah, let's Loxodon. Pass the turn. I mean, if our opponent doesn't have a follow-up, Loxodon can hold down the fort for a minute. Corrects the clue. Okay. Opponent. Ooh, passing. Okay. Thraben Inspector. I mean, as long as they're not hitting a big Convoke card, that's fine. Opponent passes. We draw 8 Battlefield Fjorge. I'll go to combat, do some attacking. If we attack with 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe we just attack with 2? Resolute Reinforcements, tap everything for Knight Errant. Yeah, let's do it that way. All right, go attacking with 2 of them. This gives us the most Convoke value. Opponent, gonna trade a Burning Tree, or not. Okay, gonna trade with the Loxodon. Okay, we're okay with this. So trades with the Loxodon takes 2, but now we get to Resolute Reinforcements and Knight Errant of Eos, fully convoked. Go digging, whiff, okay. We get a Giant Killer, but that was pathetic. Pass the turn. Yeah, that was that was a pretty bad Knight Errant of Eos. Opponent, Voldaren Epicure. 1 card in hand, sacks the blood. Discards a land. They found a Convoke card. Which one is it? That's Knight Errant. So let's see how good our opponent's Knight Errant is. But this is that position where our opponent just had to tap their team. Our team's going to be untapped. So I think we're okay. Like, we untap, we can Giant Killer the Knight Errant and just smash our opponent for a ton. Our opponent did have a much better Knight Errant Veos than us, though. They hit double Convoke. We draw a Clarion Spirit. Well, 1, 2, and 3. Giant Killer. Chop down the Knight Errant of Eos. But this is kind of the problem I was talking about. Although, hilariously, our opponent was the one that played first. But normally this is, I think, what happens in the opposite direction. Like, whoever plays first, because our opponent's in just such a tough position. Like, their hand is their 2 best cards. The problem is, to play those cards and get value from them, they need to tap down all their creatures. And then we just swing at them on all of our creatures after they Convoke out their threat. So I feel like that's often what happens in the play draw, but in this case, because our opponent didn't hit any Convoke creatures, it's working out in our favor. Takes a bunch down to 7. Let's say our opponent Convokes out something. Pretty good chance we just win on the backswing, right? And if they don't Convoke out anything, well, our team is just bigger than their team. I guess they can do like mini Convoke, like spend 3 mana and tap 2 creatures to try to leave stuff untapped. That might be their best bet. Wow, okay. Opponent just fully Convokes a Knight Errant. So I guess they're hoping that they Knight Errant into stuff to keep them alive. Wow, okay, there's their bad. There's their bad one. Plays a land. So they can Burning Tree Venerated Loxodon and die. They can Burning Tree not Venerated Loxodon and die. I mean, I think all these paths lead to our opponent dying. Okay, Burning Tree. And then are we Convoking? Yeah, I think our opponent maybe has just realized they can't win. Yeah, opponent, that's exactly what I was trying to explain about the play draw thing, is like, if you're the person that Convokes first, which will normally be whoever plays first if 2 hands are good, the person who Convokes first is just like, it's almost guaranteed to win. It's because this is how the deck plays, is having to tap down your creatures. And you saw it right here. We're both doing the same thing. We're both trying to Convoke out Venerated Loxodons and Knight Errant of Eos. The difference is we're being able to attack with our board and our opponent's not being able to block with their board because we had to do it first. So I think we got a little lucky there. Just a smidge. Well, what do we want against this deck? Regal Leosaur is good since there's not a ton of removal in our opponent's deck. I could see an argument for Another giant killer? We're going to be on the draw. We have to keep that in mind. Maybe it's literally just that. Could bring in Barrage. Like, Barrage does deal with the 2 big invoke things, which I guess has some value. Showdown of the Scalds? Is that our Mirror Breaker? Probably just too slow. So we'll go down 1 Epicure. I guess Forbidden Friendship. I could see like an argument for trying to cut Convoke cards, but I don't know how our deck is so reliant on them that I don't know how we sideboard them out and then still beat our opponent's deck. I don't think we got enough power. No Convoke for lands, although 1 is a Cabria takedown. So this is what? Turn 1, Thrabes. Turn 2, Ornithopter Bushwhacker and see what happens. That doesn't feel that great. Is that good enough? I do like the Cabria takedown, kind of, sort of. This might be a hand that we should mulligan. I'm really on the fence. I don't know if Bushwhacker's enough of a payoff. And Voldaren Epica. And Ornithopter. Well, opponent's off to a good start. Oh, another land. Another land's not great. Another land's definitely not great. Well, okay, Thraben Inspector, go. Inspiring Vantage. Passes. Okay. Regal Leosaur. Well, now I'm wondering if we should just be like killing a Epicure. So the other option is Ornithopter Bushwhacker attack. Killing this does feel awkward, doesn't it? I mean, we would get in a little bit of damage. Well, play the pathway. Yeah, let's Ornithopter. Surge a Bushwhacker. Not even any point in attacking with the Ornithopter. Like, that's a pretty free block. So, I mean, I guess they could land Convoke. Although, that's not the strongest Convoke. Opponent's down to 14. Sacks the Blood. Discards End the Festivities. Battlefield Fjorge. All right, runs out of Loxodon. We kind of would just like a cheap creature. Cheap creature to kill a Loxodon would be sweet. Then we can Cabria takedown it. 1 or 0 drop. Gleeful Demolition. Well, that also works. Oh, wow, that's actually great. Gleeful Demolition, blow up the Clue. Make some bodies. Battlefield Forge. Use our sweet, sweet MDFC tech to take down the Loxodon. Hit ya. And then hopefully this Leosaur just closes out the game next turn. Down to 11. $100 Convoke. $100 Convoke. Opponent convoking out. If they convoke, they lose. If they convoke, they lose. If they convoke, they lose. Oh, this should do it, right? This should do it. This should do it. Whiffs? Oh, God. Well, it doesn't really matter. Even if they hit, they're still dead. But 1, 2, and 3. A little bit of mutating on an Ornithopter, and that's game and a half. That is game and a half. Put it over. Grow the team, super bushwhacking, swing, and dead, and $100 Boros Convoke, finishing it off with a 4-1 opponent. Yeah, gonna block, but it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's some treasure chest. That's some treasure chest, and I think we got a pretty good $100 deck in the format. Okay. Let's crack open these treasure chests and we'll talk about the deck in the wrap up. Well, Hogaak and Pioneer, maybe it's real. Chest 1 of 1. Give us some goodies. The Hostile, and Howling Mine. I do like the white borderness of it. That's a sweet Howling Mine. Underrated Howling Mine. The middle era sometimes gets left out. You got the alpha ones that everyone, loves alpha. And then the more modern ones, but white border era, underrated era of Magic cards. Chest 2, 5 Alarm Fire. It's like an against the odds card, but it's so boring. It's not even worth it. Ground Seal, okay. Some sideboard hate that really doesn't see play anymore. Although an Enchantress deck, it's not bad graveyard hate. Danitha Nubenalia's Light, one of the Aftermath cards, in Jade Statue. 4 mana, pay 2, turn it into a 3/6. Oh, activate only during combat. Maybe there's a reason that era of cards is forgotten. Jade Statue, not very good. Chest number 4. Planeswalker deck Basri, and Temenoa. I will say, Temenoa, one of the non-legends that would be best as a legend. If I could errata a card to make it legendary, Nephilim top tier, they're number 1. Like, those would be the first ones, obviously. But the next tier down behind the Nephilim, I think Temenoa might be on it. Like, 3 mana, 2/4. Whenever a non-creature source you control deals damage, you gain that much life. That would be a sweet legendary build around. As much as we like to complain about there being too many legends today, it's also true that in the past, there were definitely not enough legends. And something like Temenoa, that would be perfect, a perfect legendary creature. So, all right. Well, last chest. So far, we've gotten 0 value out of these chests. What do we get? Praetor's Consul, love this card. Still playing in Commander decks, even though it's a decade old, but so much value. And Biting Palm Ninja, I don't want to talk about that. This was one of my whiffs. I thought this card was going to be good. I mean, I guess I expected ninjas to be good in Standard, and it just didn't work out. But Biting Palm Ninja had the look of a card that could be good, but yeah, all right. Those are our treasure chests. Chest's not good, but the deck's pretty good, but we'll talk about that in the wrap up. So what did we learn this week about $100 Boros Convoke and Pioneer? And do I have some thoughts on this deck. So first off, how good is the deck? So I played 2 leagues with the deck. The first league, I went 2 and 3, and I was like, why is everyone freaking out? Like, this deck doesn't even feel that great. But I was like, all right, let's try another league. In the second league, I went 4 and 1, and that was pretty impressive. You were seeing a mashup of those 2 leagues. You're seeing all of league number 2 minus our 1 loss. Our 1 loss in league number 2 was to rogues, and it just wasn't entertaining. It was like, we just didn't do anything, and they did rogue stuff and countered and thought seized all of our stuff, and we didn't do anything at all. I thought the loss from the first league that we showed, the one against Niv to Light, was actually way more enlightening about the deck, because that was a game where we had a really, really good draw. One of our best draws, where we just hit a million power on the battlefield super quickly, and we still lost. Our opponent just had a sweeper, cleaned up all of our stuff, had another sweeper a couple turns later, and we didn't really do anything. So I thought that was a really important match to show, because I've seen this big freak out, like this deck being unbeatable or something, and that shows that not only can you beat the deck, you can beat the deck even when it does its thing, which I think is important for people to know. So I think the deck, it is good. And if you want a $100 budget deck that you can be competitive with, this is the deck that I would push you towards playing. But I also think the freak out about like it needing to be banned, it being Hogaak and Pioneer, that's a little bit silly. Like, we've played a lot of whack decks over the years, and this is kind of similar to whack decks, but we've played a lot of whack decks, especially in Modern, and we know that those decks can get off to absurd starts. Like, when you have a great 8-whack hand, it feels like you just broke it, and you're playing something that's unbeatable, and no one can do anything, and you just win the game on turn 3. But then, when your opponent hits the right interaction, or when you don't have the right hand, you're playing a bunch of 1/1s, and your deck kind of fizzles, and I think this is the same thing. I think it's a very good whack-style deck, but it's still one of those styles of decks where sometimes you're not going to hit your right pieces. Sometimes you mulligan and draw too many lands. Sometimes your opponent has the sweeper on turn 3, and everything falls apart. So I think it's far from unbeatable. I can see why people are freaking out, because the games where you convoke on turn 2 and just have like 14 power on turn 3 or whatever, they make really good screenshots. Like, those are really, really stunning moments that people can get behind, but those don't happen all the time. And as we saw in that Niv to Light match, even when that does happen, you're not guaranteed to win. You're likely to win, but there are still ways to lose from there. So I think the deck is probably the best budget deck in Pioneer, and I think it is a legitimately strong deck, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a top tier deck. But I also think the freak out about bannings and Hogaaks and all that stuff, at best, it's super premature. At worst, it's just downright silly. The other thing I want to mention about the deck was the budget. So, 2 notes on the budget. First, the main cost to playing a $100 budget version of this deck is your mana gets a little bit worse. Our mana is still very good in this deck, but the optimal mana base would have a playset of Sacred Foundries and some number of mana confluences over the pathways and some basic lands. Those cards add a lot to the budget. A playset of Sacred Foundries is like $80, and then mana confluence is like $50 a copy. So you're looking at $200, $300 extra dollars. And honestly, I just don't think it's necessary. I played a ton of games with this deck. We did 2 leagues, so we probably played, I don't even know, 20, 30 games, somewhere in between there. And I can think of a single game where our budget mana base hurt us. There was one game where our opening hand was 2 basic planes, and we didn't have our red source, and that ended up being a problem. But really, that's one game out of almost 30 games, 25 games, let's say. So you're talking about some very low percentage of the time this actually hurts you, maybe 2%, 3%, 4% of the time. If you are a pro player who's trying to win a pro tour, 2% is a huge number. Like, that's the difference between winning the tournament and losing the tournament, making the top 8, not making the top 8. For the rest of us, though, that 2% is not worth an extra $200 or $300. So I would definitely recommend just playing this build of the deck. Like, the mana piece upgrades are just not meaningful enough for like 99.9% of Magic players to make it worth the extra $200 or $300 cost. The one disappointing part about the budget is when I built the deck, it was right at $100, but now it's almost $150. And that's because of Invasion of Gabakhan in the sideboard. When I built the deck, Gabakhan was like $3 a copy, and then it spiked to almost $20 a copy. So that pushed the deck cost from around $100 to around $150. The good news is, I don't even know if Gabakhan's that good in the deck. We rarely brought it in, and when we did bring it in, it didn't do anything. So if I was going to build the deck today, if I had known that Gabakhan was going to spike so much, I just wouldn't have played it. I would have played more Leosaurs, maybe a little more removal, maybe a little more graveyard hate, but I honestly don't think it really matters. So even though it's a little disappointing that the price of the deck already spiked, I don't think you really have to be impacted by that price spike, because I don't think the Invasion of Gabakhan's essential. So anyway, that is $100 Boros Convoke. That's been our budget magic for this week. So what do you think? You saw the deck in action. Is this the best budget deck in Pioneer? Is this a problematic deck? Is it breaking the format? Is this Hogaak in Pioneer? Does it need to be banned? I don't think so, but I'm curious what y'all think. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Speaking of bannings, if you want even more Magic, check out the video about the worst cards to ever be banned in the history of Magic. Or if you're looking for gameplay, how about last week's Against the Odds, where we hard luck fools in Modern with Deification and Gideons.